CQs and 4B testing.
CQ, calling CQ, the old friends net. This is WA4LLR, Dave in Burnsville, North Carolina, calling CQ, the old friends net. This net meets 3 times weekly, Tuesday mornings 9 a.m., Thursday mornings 9 a.m., and Sunday afternoons at 4 p.m. on this frequency. This net is conducted in the amplitude modulation mode and carried out in the old-fashioned roundtable format. Great place to gather information, look for parts, pieces, maybe swap a rig or two. The net caters mainly to vintage gear, but anyone that can generate AM regardless of rig type is welcome to participate. So CQ, the old friends net. This is WA4LLR, and I will stand by for calls.
N4LQ.
K4GDN. WF2U.
K3OS.
WB4NKL.
KZ4B.
WA4EVK.
K4VWD.
W4MEC.
N4LQ, K4GDN, WF2U, K3OS, WB4NKL, KZ4B, WA4EVK, K4VWD, W4MEC. Who else? All right. Well, let's see. What is that, 10? Yep, about 10 folks so far. So we'll go ahead and start with that one more time quickly. LQ, GDN, U, OS, NKL, Bravo, EVK, VWD, and MEC. 28 degrees and sunny, mostly sunny, and breezy up here in the eastern part of Yancey County today. Hope everybody is doing well on this second day of January 2024. So we'll send it down to Shelby and see how things are in the city of Pleasant Living. N4LQ, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR N4LQ. Yep, in the city of pleasant living, just living pleasantly. Beautiful sunny day, 28. It was 25 when I got up. Real cold. Took a walk late yesterday afternoon and decided to take a shortcut. I ended up walking more than double the distance, 4.5 miles. Went through the woods into another neighborhood, and the wind was blowing about 30 miles an hour, and I didn't know if I was going to make it back alive or not, but worked out okay. I'm running the Elmac AF-67 and amplifier, loop antenna, etc. Over to you, George. K4GDN, N4LQ.
4L2 in the groups, K4GDN. Good morning, everyone. Dave, thanks for calling the net. It's about 40 degrees here at the shack. It was about 35 when I got up at 7:30 this morning outside. I'm back AF-67 into the homebrew 811 linear, putting out a little over 100 watts carrier and feeding the center fed dipole and receiving on a PMR7. Everybody seems to be coming in here pretty well this morning. The band seems to be in good condition. And so let's pass it on around. Beer coming to you. WF2U in the group, K4GDN.
Roger, K4GDN in the group. This is WF2U. Good morning. And Happy New Year again. Well, we 2 days into 24, and it's nice and sunny outside. Well, not so nice, it's chilly, but the temperature is rising. We had 30 degrees about 6:30, and it's close to 40 right now. Signals are good, the noise level is low, so it's a nice net. No problems with static or anything. I'm running the Elmac AF-67 crystal controlled, and the receiver is an Elmac PMR7, and I'll give reports in the next round. The antenna, by the way, is an unfed halfway for 80 meters. So K3OS and the group, this is WF2U.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm fighting a reluctant receiver here. Thank you, Mir. WF2U, K3OS. Yeah, a little crispy here. See a lot of frost on the roofs. My PMR7 is still acting up. I got to get with George. Maybe on Thursday if he's going to be there. And the squelch control here. But I think I've got a couple of bad squelch tubes in there too. I replaced one. And guess what? The second one is microphonic as well as the first one. So there's something kind of wrong with that tube. And that may be the issue that we're facing here. Anyway, let me pass it around. Good morning to everybody. Over to you, Cliff. WA4NKL, K3OS.
Yeah, K3OS, WB4NKL. Okay, Gary. Well, everybody's sounding great here today. Good band conditions. 32 degrees. I thought it was supposed to get colder, but I think that was about the lowest I've seen. But it's supposed to get up a little warmer than today, 42 degrees, so that's what they're calling for. And like Steve, I got out and walked yesterday, and it's kind of cool. Put on about 3 coats, toboggan. By the time I got around, I was shedding, about ready to shed one of the coats after I got into the walk pretty good. So I'll try it again today, I guess. Maybe it'll be a little better. Maybe the wind won't be blowing as bad. Send it on down to John, KZ4B, WB4NKL.
Okay, WB4NKL and the group KZ4B. Fine business there, Cliff. Interesting thing, I have 9, I repeat 9, like new to new in box D104 microphones. And I have tried to get any of them to work, and none of them do. The elements are bad in all of them, the heads. And I have inspected several of the ones that don't work, and it appears that they're all corroded, severely corroded, which makes a bad connection. And so my question to all of you guys is, I assume that D104s die from old age. So what are people doing to replace the element? And is there a way to replace them with a crystal element as opposed to a dynamic? Or I went online and it looks like there's several kits for going electric, but not, I didn't see anybody selling crystal elements. And of course, to keep it simple, you need the crystal element. I am talking to you on one of my 2 JT30s that are both crystal element, but the only reason they work is because my buddy Mike Cumbo ND4S bought up a bunch of Radio Shack replacement elements years ago, and I'm using 2 of those replacement elements in the JT30s, and they work. So all feedback on how to resurrect a D104 is welcome. And also, Steve, I wanted to pass on that Mike ND4S is just head over heels ecstatic with joy over the VFO that he got from you, the Tentec VFO. They're rare as hen's teeth, and he's been looking for one to match his transceiver for a long time. He's just tickled to death. The equipment all checked out except the transceiver was missing a speaker, but the you had the speaker power supply with it, and so you maybe never missed it because you were using the speaker in the power supply. And of course, he is so happy that that didn't bother him at all, and he even had a speaker to put in the transceiver, and which he has just sold to a guy in Hawaii. And the guy got a really good deal on shipping. Robert Young, N4RY of Tar Heel fame, has a FedEx account where he gets a super duper discount, so it only costs $200 to ship the gear to Hawaii. So how's that for an old buzzard? Take it away. WA4EDK in the group, KZ4B over.
KZ4B in the group, WA4EBK. Boy, that is a unheard of bargain on shipping to Hawaii. I can't even ship over to Greenville very cheap. Nothing's cheap in the shipping business anymore. Hope this thing's audio's doing all right. I got the AF-68 and the Swan Mark 1 back on the air. Did quite a rework project on the Swan 1 to get it quiet. Looks like about 225, 250 watts carrier, so things are moving right along. Good to be back with plate modulated FM.
AM. I've been working FM on 10 meters, I tell you. It has gotten kind of crazy up there once in a while. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lee, K4VWD, to take it, WA4EVK.
Thank you, Boone. WA4EVK, this is K4VWD. Well, here in Greenville, at my house, it's 35 degrees, sun shining. When the net's over, I got to run to the grocery store, and I hope there are not many people there. Don't forget, we got a lunch Thursday. Thursday's lunch. And Charlie, here she comes. W4MEC in the group. K4VWD.
Very good, Lee, K4VWD. And the old friend is W4MEC. Yeah. All right, good morning, fellas. It's 31 degrees here, clear. And nice day outside, but it's humidity's kind of high. The cold kind of sticks to you. But that's okay. It's interesting, John, you mentioned the Radio Shack replacement crystal mic element. I have one of those still in the blister pack in my cabinet of stuff, and debating whether to use it or to keep it for posterity. Right now all my crystal mics are working, but the ones that went bad, I got Kobe tone elements for them when they were available. And I tried to email a company, actually Kobe tone, and ask them about that, and nobody answers email unless you're a big shot, I guess. But I found the address for the company, the email address for, and it's owned by a bigger company now, but it's like Kobe Tone Division or something like that. But anyway, I tried it, but no answer. Wondering what, I guess the musicians have migrated to something else because they liked crystal element too, but a lot of these older mics had a crystal element, but I guess they went to dynamic. I know they like magnetic. That's a nice one. And I put a magnetic element in a microphone a while back because I had it, and when I went to look up some information on it, it was another thing that was going for over $100 on eBay, but it was just some mic cartridge I got somewhere, and that is highly sought after now, but it's in one of my mics now, so holding on to it. Boone, I've been checking in on the Tuesdays there last couple of weeks. I can't remember if I did it day after Christmas. I think I did. Yeah, I did the day after Christmas and the week before, but I got my club meeting tomorrow night, so I won't make it. But I gave it my best shot there. So I was out there tinkering in the shack and had the rig on and was calling, and then shut her down after a while. So anyway. So let's go back to Dave. WA4 or LLR in the group. WA4 music.
All right, Charlie, fine business. Let me take a quick standby. Do we have any others that would like to join us? Come now. All right, I guess we've got everybody that wants to be here today. Well, let's see. Steve, a 4.5-mile walk in the cold and wind. My hat is off to you and Cliff. I'm impressed. Man, this was about the Elmac net today, except for a couple of rigs. The mighty Elmacs rule the day, and they all sound good. So, way to go. That's awesome. Let's see here. John, 9 new-looking D104s that are dead. Well, one thing I'm curious if you tried. Something I usually do if I pick up a D104 and perish the thought it doesn't seem to be working, I pull the head apart and look for corrosion on the terminals on the back of the element. And I try to clean those, and then I'll take a little transistorized amplifier and connected directly to the element terminals. And it's amazing how many times that I find it's actually working and there's just some bad connections or corroded connections somewhere in the unit. But that's, if you haven't done that, that's the first thing I would try. And I was fortunate enough, there was a monumental sea bear that lived in our area who was also a bootlegger. But he was famous on the 11-meter band, and he sold CBs and he repaired them and that sort of thing, and he passed away. And his daughter wanted his basement cleaned out. Whatever's in there, if anybody wanted it, they could have it. So Don and I went over, and Don looked through it, and he didn't see much that he wanted, and I said, well, I'm going to load a bunch of this junk up. And he had picked up several of those replacement elements, John, that you were talking about, or somebody mentioned. And I had a bunch of those that I've used down through the years. I think I'm just about out of them now, but those worked well, and that was a pretty good find. And I wish you luck. I wish somebody would remake that original element again. But anyway, I'd go in there and I'd clean the terminals on the cartridge, and I would hook it out to it and make sure the cartridge is what's dead. Most of the time, if that thing hasn't been dropped, you can resurrect it. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents worth. Boone, your audio's good and loud. It sounds good to me. Lee, good luck on the grocery store run. I hope there's not a massive crowd there. Maybe by now it's settled down a little bit. Well, they were saying to be on the alert for a geomagnetic storm today, maybe a G2 level, as a result of that X-class flare, an X5 that we had Sunday afternoon, about midnight or somewhat towards the end of it. That was the strongest one so far in this season, or in this particular solar cycle. So they were thinking we might get a CME or plasma cloud from it today, so that might be taking place. Anyway, the last recorded numbers that I saw for today, sunspot count was 44, solar flux index 136, and the K was 2. Few items from this day in history. In this day in 1492, Granada was reclaimed by Spain. On this day in 1920, Isaac Asimov was born. Most of us who grew up reading science fiction remember Isaac Asimov quite well. On this day in 2004, NASA spacecraft Stardust collected dust grains from Comet Wild 2, in which they found amino acid. On this day, 1967, actor turned politician Ronald Reagan was sworn in as governor of California. On this day in 1935, the famous trial of Bruno Hauptmann began in New Jersey as he faced charges of kidnapping and murdering the infant son of Charles Lindbergh. He was found guilty and executed. On this day in 1920, the most spectacular of the Palmer raids took place when between 3,000 and 10,000 folks were arrested in more than 30 cities, accused of being foreign anarchist, communist, radical leftist. And let's see what else. That's pretty much it from this day in history. So we'll start back around. N4LQ, WA4LL.
WB4ARK.
Well, I heard, buddy. All right, so I guess you come after W4MEC, buddy. This N4LQ. Yeah, on D104, this subject keeps coming up, and it gets rehashed, but you can't get any crystal elements, that's for sure. I did a Kobe tone conversion a few years ago until they ran out. I should have bought all of them. I should have mortgaged the house and bought every Kobe tone crystal element there was, and then resold them for 10 times the price, I guess. Because you go to DX Engineering, and they're selling the house sound replacement part, the the HC-51 supposed to go in a D104 mic, and it's $69, not $70, only $69. I don't know. That's just a dynamic element. I can't really understand why that would be any good, but there it is. And then there's the W2ENY, which is all over eBay. That's an electric element, which I've heard before, and they don't sound very good. So I think probably Dave's got the best thing to do is to check with an amplifier. And that's the same thing I do. I take an amplifier to the Amfest with me, and I took one to Waynesville last time and checked all the guys' D104s until I selected one I wanted, which is this one. Half of them were bad, and he said, I didn't know that. I thought, yeah, if you buy a D104 and the guy says he doesn't know if it's good or not, that means it's bad. And if you buy one on eBay and it says untested, you know for sure it is no good. So just keep that in mind and always test before you buy. I can't believe the number of Elmacs on here. I think that's at least six that I counted off the top of my head here. Mostly 67s. There's 4 AF-67s, a couple of AF-68s. And Boone, your audio just blew me away. You need to go listen to yourself on the live stream video later on. You won't believe how good you sound. Sound like Orson Welles or somebody. Just absolutely beautiful audio, especially for AM. And John, I'm glad the guy liked the Corsair 2. Man, he shipped it to Hawaii. That's sad. Anyway, I knew I'd be sorry I sold it. And just yesterday was Bug Day, the first day of the year. They have Bug Day on the CW frequencies, and the bands were just littered with bug keys. And I got on there. I didn't even realize it was that until I was on there with a bug anyway. But and I talked to this guy that was running a Corsair 2, and he said, oh, if I'd just known you sold yours, I would have bought it at any price because I love mine and I want a backup. And he went on, and I thought, oh, boy, then I screw up. I shouldn't have sold mine. So anyhow, it's the way it goes sometimes. K4GDN on an AF-67. This is N4LQ on an AF-67.
Okay, N3OS and the group's K4GDN. And Gary, on that squelch problem I had with my PMR7, what I ended up doing was just disconnecting the wiper on the squelch control, and what that does is disable the triode section of V9, which is what controls the squelch. And the way it does it is by dropping the screen voltage to the pentode section of V9, which is the first audio ramp, and shutting it off. I'm suspecting that there's a resistor in there somewhere that's changed slightly. What mine was doing was when there was no signal present, even when the squelch turned all the way down, I'd get no background noise, particularly on my quiet antenna, which is the one I'm using now, my center-fed dipole. Now, if I put the in-fed half-wave on it, there's enough noise pick up on the in-fed half-wave that it would generally give me some background noise, but sometimes it didn't. And any time there was a signal that came on, the squelch wouldn't interfere. But I like hearing the background noise. I don't use squelch on AM. So my cure was just to disable that squelch triode section of V9, which is a 6AN8, which I'm not sure where I would get one. But and it's hard to troubleshoot the PRM7. Things are so crowded. I just decided, well, I'll disconnect the cathode, the wiper on the R90, and that cured the problem. So That's what it did. It just keeps that triode section from dropping the screen driven voltage on the pinode section down and shutting it off. And that suits me fine. And by the way, I do intend to come to the lunch on Thursday, and I'm sure in the market for 4 811As. I sure don't want to put Chinese ones in my 3001. What I found when I got in there was 3 of the 4 tubes had blisters on the plate. One of the tubes, the blisters had popped open on both sides of the plate, and you could look right on through and see the other side. One's on the other side of the tube. So I need some 811As. Sure would be, anybody's got something for sale or trade, I'd sure be interested in getting my hands on 4. I don't want to have to put Chinese ones in there. Anyway, let's see. I believe that's about it from here for the old buzzard. So with that, it's coming to you, Beer. WF2U in the group, K4GDN.
Roger, K4GDN and the group. This is WF2U. To mention again on an AF-67, just barefoot, and good copy. George, you're a little bit weaker than the others, but no big wonder. You are holding at S7, sometimes jumping up to S8. And let's see, everybody else is about between 10 to about 10 over 9. Cliff and Boone sometimes dipped a little bit to about +5 with QSB, but it's not bad. And Buddy was booming in. He checked in at the end of the round, but sort of doubled, reduced things for a little bit. Because you realize that if you monitored your SDR receiver there, that you recording this stuff on. Anyway, regarding the D104s, I have, let's see, I have 4. All of them are good. I bought one I had at least for 30 years, if not more. Must be more than 30 years. The others are acquired since then, various Hempfests, and all of them are working. And I also have one of those original replacement elements, which I haven't had to, didn't have to touch at all yet. It's stashed away, just in case. And so all of them are working. In fact, I have to put the correct plug on one of them to try it with a AF-67. See if there is any difference in audio, because now I'm running a Turner desk mic, which is marked single sideband. They had a series that they labeled single sideband. It's on the PTT bar, and all I know is high impedance. I assume it's also a crystal mic, not a dynamic. Although it could be that it's dynamic because they have the same version with low impedance output, of which we have. I have 2 of those that work with some other rigs that need low impedance. So with that, I'll give it to Gary. You were nice, steady 5 and 8 before. K3OS and the group. This is WF2U.
Yeah, WF2U, K3OS. Buddy checked in, was not recognized. Dave, you want to bring him in?
We recognized him. He's after Charlie.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you. All right. Okay, and yeah, I'm running the Elmac here. Thanks, AF-67, PMR7. Receiver seems to have settled down, thank you very much. George, my problem with it, a couple comments, and my problem with this one is that sometimes it just gets scratchy and then goes out, and if I twist the squelch knob a couple times, it comes back. And I replaced, I think, 3 of the 4 caps in there already. The resistors seem to be okay. Swapped the tubes out, but as I say, both the tubes that I happen to have, the 6A and 8s, seem to be microphonic, and so I may or may not trust those. That may be part of what's it. But I'll take your suggestion and remove that the wiper wire and see if that does it. That'll isolate the stage down. Tell me where it is. Good suggestion. I appreciate that tip. On D104s, a guy I know said he had a replacement element for one and said I could have it, and he mailed it to me. I just got it in the other day. I opened it up. And I took the one D104 head that I knew that was not working well, and I opened it up, and turns out that the one he sent me didn't look like the one that was in the microphone. I said, well, I wonder what the others look like. And so I took apart this one and another one that I have that are working properly. And I noticed that the one in the errant D104 was a totally different design. So I am going to surmise that somebody whoever owned that one mic of mine, already did a crystal replacement. And that's the one that doesn't measure exactly like the D104 does, which is kind of makes some sense. Well, the element that got sent to me was not an static element. It turns out to be a Kobitone element. Doing some image search on the web proved that to be true. It was new in the bag, so I have a brand new one. I'm going to test it and see where it lies in terms of frequency response and whether it works all right. But it's the right diameter. It's just not. It's not a D104 element. Anyway, I'm going to make this my final round here. I've got a couple of chores that I have to take care of today, and so I wish everybody a 73. I'm going to. Steve, I'll be talking to you about about Thursday here. I'm planning on making the lunch, so look forward to talking to you guys then. Over to you, Cliff, WB4NKL, K3OS.
K3OS, WB4NKL, 73's Gary. I've got several D104s here, and most of them work. I've got some that don't work, but if you drop, they're not. You know, if you drop one, that's a little rough on them. But I did I have repaired some that's been dropped, and that what happens is that it breaks loose that center pin where it hooks up to the diaphragm. The glue comes loose there, so sometimes you can re-glue that center pin to the diaphragm and repair one. And I don't know of any good replacement for them. I've got a drawer here. It's got 3 or 4 real nice chrome heads, but no element to go in them. Charlie, he's talking about the magnetic. I've got some of those, some of both. I think Shure made them, and GE used them in their mobile microphones, commercial mobile microphones. Some of them say controlled reluctance, and the others say controlled magnetic. And they look the same. Looks like that same type microphone just looking at them. But I noticed on eBay that I'm not sure which one's which. One of them brings a lot of money and the other one don't. So I don't know what the difference is there, or what in the two terms. But evidently they hear something different about them. Go ahead, John, KZ4B, WB4NKL.
Okay, WB4NKL and the group KZ4B, fine business, Cliff. There's a lot heavy QS Baker on receive here, so I'm assuming that relates to the sunspot situation. I'm going to have to see how hot 10, 15 are before it's all over. On the D104, the few heads that I have examined look like it's really cheap, and I'm assuming that they are the original static, and it's just a little tiny plastic thing in the middle of a larger plastic disc, and there are two rivets that go from the tiny little head to the back, and they tie in to two solder lugs, and every one I've seen is highly corroded. I'll try D104, see if, not D104, what is it, deoxit, to see if that does any good. But the elements in the mic that I'm talking on and the other JT30 that came from Radio Shack look like they're much better made. I'm sure they came from Japan. And it has a nice big diaphragm, and the wires and lugs on the back of the element have no sign of corrosion whatsoever. Every one of these others that I've seen are highly corroded. And what was described where Cliff was describing a wire on a diaphragm, I can't even see a diaphragm. It's just this little square thing in the middle of a big plastic disc that centers it in the mic. I don't know if that was a replacement or that's the original static. But I even thought, well, maybe you've seen these small diameter mic speakers that go in a transistor radio. You know, you could use that maybe to convert it to a mic, but that would be a very low impedance. You probably have to boost that up to get any decent voltage out of it. You know, maybe turn a audio transistor output transformer backwards. You really need a tube output transformer to get enough voltage. But the best dynamic mics for the money used to be the Hall HC5. I've had good luck with them, and I'm going to try that on this T150 and see if it's got enough oomph to drive it. And if it does, I might sacrifice some of my old Gold Line or whatever the step below that was mics from Hall, because they don't sell elements anymore. In fact, I went online last night and I couldn't even boot up a website for Hall. Now, that might be, I'm not computer literate enough. It kept sending me to DX Engineering, and they had some new old stock looking stuff from Hall, but I couldn't boot up Hall. I was Hall amateur audio was what I was Googling, and got nothing. So except DX Engineering, and so I don't know what to. I heard that Hall had sold his business to somebody. In fact, I called him up a year or two ago, and I was told that by whoever answered the phone. But if I could get a hold of some HC5 elements and they have enough oomph, that might not be a bad solution. Anywho, Boone, your audio does sound great, and you and Steve are two of the strongest signals I'm catching today. Like I say, there's a lot of QS Baker. It's not really, I can hear it on you, Boone. I don't hear it on Steve because he is so strong. There's a pipeline between me and Steve, kind of like between me and Lee. And so the signals are usually consistently quite strong no matter what. But everybody else, it varies all over the map. But I don't know why other people don't report QS Baker and I hear it. I don't know if there's some kind of reflection off the lake that messes with the antenna or what. But, or maybe I'm sitting under a hole in the ionosphere, who knows. But I've held it long enough. Take it away, Boone. WA4EDK and the group KZ4B, over.
KZ4B in the group, WA4EDK. John, I think this group is just pretty tough when it comes to conditions. Pretty tolerant, as I found out. Steve, thanks for the good words on the audio. Getting into this linear and doing some acoustic or sound modifications was kind of interesting. One of my old jobs involved doing that kind of thing, so but it was a nasty project is all I can say. Appreciate it. Charlie, I tore the station basically apart doing part of this modded, and they're back before Christmas. I tried a couple of Tuesdays, and I think one of them was your club night, and then when the station come apart. But I will be on there tonight, and for foreseeable, unless the old man goes to sleep in his recliner, which I've been known to do. Just happens, so to speak. I try to avoid it, and I actually got an alarm on my phone now if I don't mess up and leave the phone laying somewhere else. Just the way it is. Yeah, John, and Steve, the way I found out I had such just nasty audio from all the sound, external sound, so to speak, from the linear, was listening to your recording, and I will listen to this one, that's for sure. That's a good service to the rest of us, Steve, is recording that stuff, I'll tell you. And that's about enough, I think, so I'm going to send it over to Lee. K4VWD, WA4EVK.
Thank you, Boone. Boy, you got a good signal here in Greenville. This is K4VWD. And, buddy, you're sounding wonderful here in Greenville. You got a great signal. And, Boone, your signal is about a S9 to 10 over, but the audio, just like others have said, it's just wonderful. So a great job there. I can remember years ago I had a D104 that went bad, but back then you could order the little thing that soldered in there, and I did that with one D104 I had, and it worked fine, and I have no idea what happened to that microphone. I'm using my AF-68 today with my static 10D microphone and a banded amplifier, and it looks like about 180 to 190 watts on the carrier, and receiving on the PMR8 receiver, the old 10-tech tuner ladder line to a dipole. So pretty standard old AM stuff. So with that, I'll keep it going. Charlie, here she comes. W4 MEC in the group, K4VWD.
Oh, very good, Lee. K4VWD and the old friends, W4MEC. I forgot to mention on go-round number 1 that if George is copying me, 2 times on his transmission he had some kind of squeal pop in for an instant and go away, but on the last transmission it was not evident, so something warming up perhaps. Let's see. What did I look? It was control magnetic, Cliff, is what I have. I think that's probably, we looked up the same thing. And I can't remember the details and why I used it. I think the impedance was really high, and that's why I tried it. And I thought maybe it was a microphone that needed like power, like it had to be in line with the resistor, and you tapped off with a capacitor or something. But no, I put it on the scope and it generated audio just by speaking into it. So I tried it out. Mine is probably would be better on a rig that had a equalizer to improve the highs a little bit. It seemed a little bassy on me, and it probably needed a little assistance there. Let's see, John, it's Heil. Oh, I forgot it. Heil Ham Radio, one word. HeilHamRadio.com is the website. So try that out next time. Sometimes when you add things in like Heil and space and then some other descriptor, it can take you through some weird places. You got to be careful. So considering it's Heil, it might take you to some German site. But HeilHamRadio.com works. Let's see what else notes I got here. That's about it. I was thinking when I don't know if this is political or not, but when Dave was reading off the stuff about the sunspots and storms and all that stuff, what was going on, I was thinking, well, he needs to add in that 350,000 folks crossed the border in December illegally, so maybe we could add that into the Sun report once a month. But sad thing there. I think they all get cell phones and money too. But what a deal. I told my wife she gets about the lowest Social Security that you ever heard of. She's right now with the cost of living that's coming up this year. She's finally getting to $500 a month after taxes, and she worked in a lot of private schools over the years and all that, and the little bit of commercial work she did just didn't pay. She's got her 40 quarters, but that's it. And back in the day, she wasn't making much money, so it worked out to about $500 a month clear now, and they take 130 of Medicare Part B or something out of that, so she's really getting like $700 a month or something, $650, $700. But I said, you need to go south of the border and come back through, because I think they give you more money by month if you do that. But she didn't like that idea, so I was just throwing it out there, give her something to do, And WB4ARK in the group, W4MEC.
W4MEC, WB4ARK. Okay, Charlie, thanks for recognizing me, Dave. And sorry I didn't get in earlier. Didn't have the toggle switch on the Variac switched on, so I didn't have any power to the ART13 power supply. Well, on the D104 mic, I think most of what I was going to say has been covered, but what I have found, and I'll repeat what Cliff said, on the front where the fuzzy black material is that covers the aluminum foil, there's a pin that goes through and makes contact with the element, and that pin is glued to the front, the bulged out, let's say it'd be convex portion of the mic at the front where the black fuzzy screen is located. If you glue that back, I found several of those have come unconnected because of the glue has dried out or whatever, and you can repair them that way, because if it doesn't modulate the element, then you don't get any sound. Now the back of it, where the two small lugs are located, you should see a marking on there that would be like MC-320, possibly. And they're circular. Now, I've never seen one that's square. They're all circular. And that is the back of the element. So if you connect that to some sort of, like Dave was talking about, some sort of amplifier, small transistorized amplifier, you could get a signal off of that, but it's very low level signal. It's about anywhere from 300 to say 50 millivolts. And so you could test it that way. However, I would suggest, and if you have amplified microphone bases, put in a new battery, put in a new 9-volt battery, and find one that is at least marginally working. If you could find one that has some output, then you could swap heads with that base and determine which one of the elements is not working, because there's a lot going on inside the amplified D104 that could cause a problem. And there's switching in there on the contact, the lever on the side of the mic, that could cause problems. There's several areas that can be problematic on the microphone. So you want to check it out as best you can as far as the bass is concerned. And if you can get a bass working, then you can swap an element with that bass till you find out which elements are not functioning properly. You have to be very handy with tools, and it's almost like working on a watch. You got to be very careful what you do. So I would express my concern about taking one apart any further than peeling the black fuzzy material off the front and seeing if you have a bad connection there with the rod element that goes back to the and makes contact with the element. Now, I've got a Heil element that's already fixed in a D104 like they suggest doing it, and I will swap it out with this element. You can take it off very quickly, and I probably will have to turn the gain up on this amplified D104 because the output of this Heil is only 40 millivolts. It's pretty low. So you're going to have to use it with an amplified D104 mic base. And we'll see if we can get some sound out of it, and you can listen to the element and see what it sounds like. So if you bear with me for a second, I will unscrew this ring on the element at the top and take it off and swap it with this Heil unit. Then I'll be right back. Okay. This is the D104 with the Heil element, and I'm having to turn the unit up full all the way, but I am getting a deflection on the ART13 that looks like it's pretty close to what it was with the original D104 element, which I had 300 millivolts coming out of that element. So this base, the control is turned fully clockwise, and I'm getting close to the output, but not quite the same. So if that will give you an idea of how this element sounds, whether you want to spend any money on ordering an element like this particular one or not. So with that, we'll turn it back to Dave, WA4LLR, and everyone that commented on my signal, Lee and others, thanks for the comment, and thanks Dave, for doing the net. WA4LLR, WB4ARK.
All right, buddy. Fine business. Thank you for that demonstration. That's very helpful. Real quickly, do we have a late check-in? Come now. All right, I guess that's got everybody. All righty. Well, once you got her cranked up, it sounds pretty good. You can tell the difference, but not bad at all when the amp's running full. Let's see here. Oh, Steve, I meant to thank you. Thank you for posting that Dream Rig Go Mobile advertisement for Elmac. I really enjoyed looking at that. So I'm just curious what it came out of, where you found that advert, but that was neat. And I have had success repairing a couple of D104 cartridges with super glue, like you guys were talking about, after you peel that front cloth cover off. That's usually the destruction that happens when you drop one. Sometimes the diaphragm comes loose from that center post. Sometimes it breaks the crystal in there, and then you're out of luck. But super glue is your friend if you can get in there and get it glued back, if indeed the glue is turned loose. And Cliff, you were talking about those difference in the controlled magnetic and the controlled reluctance microphones. I know those Shure 444s are controlled magnetic, and I've got a dispatcher mic, an old ugly green thing that says GE on the front, but if you turn it over, it's a Shure, and it's controlled reluctance. So kind of interesting. Let's see. That's about all I have from here. We'll go ahead and do a quick 73 round. And again, buddy, thank you so much for doing that demonstration between the original D104 element and the Heil replacement. So let's do a quick 73 round. N4LQ, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, N4LQ. Well, quick. Let's see. First of all, the ultimate Elmac station ad, that nobody seems to know where that thing came from, but a copy of that was put in a book written by Don Johnson, W6AAQ, W6AAQ, who had books out on mobile layering antenna installations. And Don Johnson was like the guru of mobiling from back in the, from back in the 70s and the 80s and 90s. The last thing I saw from him was called 40 Years of HF Mobile Layering Antennas. And somehow I got onto this, and I've got the book coming, but I think it may be an illegal copy or something, but that's in the book. And he even says, I don't know where it came from, so I don't know how he got it. But he's long since passed away and gone silent keyed. So if you got that book, it's an excellent book on antennas, tuners, and especially he deals a lot with the efficiency of short antennas. And then I do want to comment on KZ4B's QSB thing, because I was talking to or listening to a guy who always has a good signal, and he was giving all the credit because his dipole goes over a lake. It's a small lake or a pond. And he says, yeah, I know the water, fresh water, is a bad conductor. It's a good insulator, he said. So he admitted that, but he said on the bottom of the lake, all this decades and eons of organic matter has made the bottom of the lake very reflective, a perfect conductor, as he called it. And he had attributed his good signal to the reflection from that way down under the water. And I just wondered how much validity there is to that, but that could cause an extra reflection that's interfering with your main lobe coming from above. I don't know. That's just something to think about. That's all. And I'll see you all on Thursday, I hope to make it. And Buddy, you lost about 100 cycles on the low end on that mic. It sounds very good, very articulate and clean and all that business, but it lost some lows, which is interesting that a dynamic mic would do that. I think that's what that is, because usually there's too much lows compared to a crystal. Surprising. And I'm selling the Viking 1 here. If anybody is interested in that low price for a beautiful Viking 1 with VFO, plug and play, ready to go, I can bring it Thursday. Over to George, K4GDN, N4LQ. There he goes. You're broke, George.
Yeah, I see it.
Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. And I make the same comment about the 104. Let's see, I'm back now. I don't know what the problem was. It, anyway, seems to have gone away from the... Oh, it's back now, coming and going. Anyway, I'm going to say 73 on this round. I'll listen to the end. So it goes to beer, WF2U K4GDN.
Oh, Mir.
This is WF2U. George, you completely down, and I'm not sure whether it's conditions or something happened to your AF-67 because you started like gurgling, some noises in the audio, and then the whole signal dropped down. You were barely under the noise, but I clearly could make out when you gave it to me. So you have to check something, and I'm sure we'll find out from Steve's recording of the session what happened. At least the way we can hear it. But something is definitely not right. Anyway, thanks, Dave, for running the net. And conditions so far were very good because actually in the last round everybody gained about 5 to 10 dB to the point that, let's see, Cliff went up from 5 over 9 to 15 over, and John, KZ4B, was 20 dB over 9, and Boone went up to 15, and indeed your audio is really great, Boone. It sounds absolutely great. Yeah, so I don't have to ask what microphone you were using. Lee, you also improved in signal. You were almost making it to 20 over 9. And Charles, almost 20. And Buddy, you were steady at 20 over 9. So it was nice to hear everybody. And hopefully I'll be able to make it for the luncheon Thursday. I'm trying to at least, although I have my usual Thursday morning activity, but I would probably, most likely I would cancel it, just at least to do the first luncheon of the year. So 73, all have a good day, good rest of the week, and see you all at the Golden Corral. And with this, it goes, okay, Gary signed, I believe so. Go ahead, Cliff. WB4NKL and the group, this is WF2U. 73, but I'll be listening to the end.
Okay, Mayor, 73's WF2U, WB4NKL. Enjoyed it, and it was a good demonstration there on the Heil versus the D104 cartridge, buddy. And enjoyed that. Say 73's, and thanks for calling it, Dave, and we'll probably won't be around Thursday. You guys got luncheon, and I've got a railroad retiree breakfast there Thursday morning, so see everybody Sunday, I guess. Go ahead, John, KZ4B, WB4NKL.
Okay, WB4NKL and the group, this is KZ4B, fine business, Cliff. Yeah, buddy, thank you very much for that demonstration. I may be forced to indulge a Heil conversion there. I finally opened a head that has what you guys have described with a little pin going through the aluminum disc, and that may enable me, if I epoxy that pin to the disc, that might enable me to resurrect a D104 head. I will definitely give that a try, and I've got plenty to choose from. I don't know, all the heads that I had opened previously were not configured that way. There was just a little plastic element. Maybe that was the replacement, although it seemed to have the a static part number 320 on it, but it wasn't the aluminum diaphragm with a pin. It's just this little tiny thing about a ½ an inch square, and the back was corroded like crazy. This aluminum disc one that I finally opened, the back is not corroded at all, but I can suspect that maybe the pin is broken loose from the disc. So if I've got several of those, maybe I can get lucky and resurrect some D104s, because I like the concept of having a crystal mic. And shifting gears, Steve, the only antenna I have that partially goes out over the lake is my 160-meter antenna, which is at my upstairs operating position, and I'm not using it. And to be honest, I don't remember how susceptible it seemed to be to QS Baker. But my yard, under my antennas, I have buried radials, like a counterpoise. And some are associated with a power line, like one feeding my pier, which is, it's got a ground that would effectively be a counterpoise plus the two hots, because it's a 240/120 power line, and I've got one antenna going over that. In fact, I've got two going over that, and I've got another antenna that is going over just a copper radial that I buried with a gutter drain that goes all the way out to the lake. So maybe instead of that helping me, it hurts me, and in that, it's highly conductive. Who knows? But I'm definitely hearing a lot of QS Baker, when apparently it may be you guys are more tolerant than I am, and maybe I genuinely have a problem. Shifting gears again, buddy, thank you for that demonstration. I think your audio sounded good enough that I wouldn't mind having the howl, but it's obviously, if I understand it, and if you would comment on this, the howl doesn't have any amplification with it. You're just getting the element. And does that interface directly with the D104 amplifier without any modification? In other words, has it got a high enough input impedance to work with the Hall amplifier, assuming the Hall amplifier needs a high impedance like a crystal element would be? So you might comment on that. And hope everybody has a great week. Thanks for calling the net, Dave, and it's been fun, and the feedback is very much appreciated, especially the idea about gluing that pin. That might bail me out. I've got plenty of heads to play with, although I'm not sure how many apply. We'll see. So 7-3s all around. KZ4B turning it over to Boone, WA4EDK. This is KZ4B clear.
KZ4B in the group, WA4EVK. Well, thank you, John. I don't know where it's propagation or the start of that storm, but I'm starting to see some pretty bad fade on some signals. We're closing out. Once again, thanks for the audio report. And Mir, I guess I should have listed that as part of my equipment. This D1. Got lucky and actually, well, bought one a few years back for sure, N8SH up in Ohio. Pretty serious collector of boat anchor gear. Steve knows him also. And I got a good one, and I've been pretty the last 3 or 4 years since things got. I think we learned a lot more about D104s, and they've started going bad at a more rapid rate, or maybe there's a discrete time that they're after which they start failing, or what. But seems like more and more of them are discovered to be not functioning correctly. And with that, I'm going to get off here and let us finish today. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Been a good net. So K4VWD, WA4EVK.
Okay, Boone, thank you. WA4EVK, K4VWD. Your signal's holding up strong here in Greenville. Very, very good signal. Again, one more reminder, don't forget the lunch on Thursday and the net on Thursday morning. I'll be here. And I look forward to seeing those that can make it to the lunch, and I look forward to talking to those that can make it to the net. So with that, I'll say 7-3, God bless. I hope y'all have a wonderful week. W4MEC in the group, K4VWD.
Okay, Lee, K4VWD in the group, W4MEC. A couple other comments about D104. John, if you're checking multiple heads, be sure to use the same base every time, preferably one without the amp in it, so you can really see what they're doing. I have found D104 bases where someone has taken the amp out and they left all the wires hanging. So you think you got a bad element when you've got nothing but open connections. And I can't remember if they run the mic audio through the push-to-talk switch or not, but some mics actually do that. They run the mic element through the push-to-talk, and that can become intermittent. So a couple of things to check. So that's why I say leave the bass alone. And I kind of disagree with John on that microphone element there, buddy, because when you immediately switched over, your audio went in the basement, and then you turned it up, and it more or less sounded like you were before, but the other element was a lot better, in my opinion, than that second one you had plugged in. So, Fritz, I believe he operated 80 with a 40-meter antenna, and he had a wire underneath his antenna parallel to it down at about, I think, 10 feet off the ground, something like that he could walk under and cut the grass, but he called it a reflector, and he put it under his 40. So not sure what it did for him, but he had a pretty good signal on 80 meters. And let's see. Anyway, that's about all I got on today. Y'all have a good rest of the day, and we'll look for you on Thursday on the radio and Thursday at lunch. And since I got no takers on my Heathkit DX60 station, I guess I'll leave it here. So, but anyway. 730. Over to you, buddy. WB4ARK, W4MEC.
W4MEC, WB4ARK. Okay, Charlie. Let me turn the gain down just a little bit more on this mic. Okay, that's a little bit better. Still, got pretty high gain. I like the amplified D104. You cannot use a regular D104 on an ART13. So you can forget about using that. You don't have enough drive. You've got to have pretty good drive for the ART13. And I would definitely suggest, John, that if you haven't looked at the base of your D104s, to check that out and see if any modifications have been made in the base, like Charlie was saying, wires cut loose, so forth. Definitely you want to take a look at that before you do anything. You make sure that you've got a good connection through the coil cord or straight cord, whichever one yours happens to have on it, to the connector at the end. You've got to check all that out to make sure that you've got a functioning base unit before you put a head on there. You might be fighting a losing battle trying to fix the head that doesn't need fixing. This element is this Heil element is about 3/4 of an inch in one direction and 1/2 inch in the other direction. And I think it's maybe about a little bit over 3/8 of an inch thick. It's got 2 wires that come out of it, and they send you the material. They send you some material to cut and form a holder for your element. You cut a rectangular opening in it and put your element in there, and then you mount that inside your head with cushioning on the right side and left side like the original one has. So if you order a replacement element, be sure you do it exactly like they show in the description. I think that's about it on that. And it's a shame that, Steve, you sent a good functioning transmitter to a guy that was raving about how well it was, and then that person sells it to somebody in Hawaii. That's a little weird. I don't know about that, but anyhow, that's it. And as far as the wave propagation, I think a lot of things can have an effect on that. Your ground area around your antenna, below your antenna, will have a large effect on your propagation, and so you definitely want to have an idea maybe what that material is composed of, and you also would want to I don't think that the material at the bottom of a lake would have much effect on the antenna propagation, because for the wave to go through the water to the bottom and then be reflected back up again, that would be a very small amount of reflection, I would think. And I don't think that would have much effect on the outcome of the signal. So with that, we'll say 73, and thanks again, Dave, for doing the net. And so that's it. WA4LLR, WB4ARK.
Break KZ4B with a quick comment.
Go ahead.
Okay, you guys have an excellent suggestion there, which I have already followed. When I first tried the T150, I had bad contact in the switch and the base because it's in series with the bike. And so I rewired a base and with no amplifier, and that's the one I use for testing. So it's hardwired between the crystal element and the input to the transmitter, and then of course there's a TR contact. So I have followed that to the letter, and that still none of these elements work. Let's see, there was one other thing I wanted to comment on. I can't remember what that was now. So, on the my friend Mike ND4S that bought the Corsair 2, he has a mint Corsair 2, and the late Corsair 2s had the QSK feedback circuit, it's to transmit in, transmit out. The early one didn't, and the one that he got from Steve was an earlier one, but Mike wanted the VFO. The VFOs are impossible to find, so he uses that VFO with his Corsair 2 that has the transmit out, transmit in, and sent the other one to the guy in Hawaii who was dying to get it. And of course it still can be used with an amplifier, it's just not QSK. It's got an auxiliary transmit out, but no transmit in. So 7.3's all around. Thank you again, Dave, for calling the net. WA4LLR, KZ4, clear but listen.
All right, John, fine business. Yeah, sounds like you did what I was going to suggest to save you a little effort. Take a working D104, pull the head off of it, and then just start replacing it with the heads on the others and see if any of them worked. That way you'd know whether it was the element or whether it was the wiring or the switch or whatever. And someone was mentioned the fact whether or not the audio went through the push-to-talk switch on the D104. And it's funny, I've got some that it does, and I've got some that it doesn't. And I don't know if they've been hacked or what. But so, some of them you have to mash the mic button in order for the audio to get through, and some of them you don't. Anyway, folks, I've enjoyed it. Been a great net, a lot of good information, and I certainly appreciate your participation. So 7-3, God bless. Hope you have a wonderful week, and Lord willing, we'll either see you on the air or in person on Thursday. This is Dave, WA4LLR, in Burnsville, North Carolina, closing out this session of the Old Friends Net and returning the amateur frequency back to normal.